My name is Tim Mara, and I'm the moderator of the Great Decisions program here in East Longmeadow, graciously hosted by the East Longmeadow Public Library. I live here in town. My wife, Maura, works at the library. I have a son, Joe, who's a student at the high school, and a daughter, Ellie, who's in 8th grade at Birchland Park. I'm an attorney. Started out practicing law about 30 years ago. Worked for a large firm in Philadelphia. Then moved to public service. I was a prosecutor in the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office for years. And then I worked in the criminal justice system for the prison system, defending the state against constitutional claims brought by inmates. Interesting legal work. I found my way here. I grew up in the area, found my way back home, and I work for a company in Springfield as an attorney. People at the library approached me, and I was very happy to do it. I've been a student of public affairs and international affairs for as long as I can remember. Great Decisions is the public face of the Foreign Policy Institute here in the United States. In the ash heap after the First World War, thinkers got together here and decided that it makes sense to have public discussions about the mistakes that we've made as a species that lead us to settle our arguments with bullets. And America was assuming a more important role on the world stage. And so thinkers and writers and idea people got together and formed this policy institute. And about 50 years ago, it developed a public face called the Great Decisions program. It started out as sort of an old-fashioned salon where people would get together and talk about ideas. And slowly at first, and then more rapidly lately, it's developed into a real national program that's put on by groups all over the country. All of us have a responsibility as citizens in a democracy to be informed. That doesn't mean that we have to agree, but it does mean that we have to expose ourselves to ideas. And I think the more ideas that are available abroad, the more that people can avail themselves to, the more informed we are as people. And the perfect person for great decisions is not somebody who has fancy degrees or vast life experience. They're people who like to think, people who have ideas about the way things should be and enjoy discussing those sorts of ideas with people who are sincerely interested in what other people think about things. This year, we have global migration, the Middle East, the nuclear framework, populism in international politics, trade with China, made in China, which is goods that are made and produced in China and then sold on the international market, the United States-Mexico relationship, and what's the role of the State Department today? Now, those all sound like very complicated things, and they can be complicated if you want to do a PhD thesis on them, but that's not the purpose of Great Decisions. Great Decisions is to spend about a half an hour watching a really well-done documentary. We watch it as a group, and there's much in the documentary that deals with the facts of the particular topic for that night, and then we discuss it as a group. I kick off the discussion with a handful of questions. I may pose ideas as a devil's advocate and try to get people to offer their take on things. I said earlier that the perfect candidate is a thinker. So many people come to Great Decisions, or at least think about coming to Great Decisions, and they're intimidated by the whole program. They think that there is a prerequisite that you have a background in international affairs and public policy. And that's just not true. You can sit and watch a half an hour of a really well done documentary, develop an idea, have an opinion about it, and talk about it intelligently with people you share this community with, and it's a really invigorating evening. The program starts about 6 o'clock. We wrap it up around 7:30 or so. It's very casual, very conversational, and we have very wide-ranging discussions. We don't just prattle at each other in the evening that we spend together. There is a poll that is taken, and that poll is communicated to the Foreign Policy Institute, and they digest that data. There are 2 in February, 2 in March, 2 in April, and 2 in May. The first meeting is February 5th, starts at 6 o'clock. It's in the public meeting room at the library. If you're curious, but you don't want to go to the first one, it doesn't mean that you're barred from going to the others. It's an open door. And if you decide in the 5th meeting that this is something that you would like to do, you are welcome. And there are people who drop in and drop out all the time. I said earlier that you don't have to have fancy degrees, and I genuinely mean that. There are people from any walk of life. We've had high school students and 90-year-old retirees. We have people who are right in the thick of their work life. We have academics. We have people who come from great distances. I've had people who've driven from the Berkshires to attend the program. So anyone can attend, and everyone is welcome. It's a really excellent way to spend lately what's been pretty chilly evenings.